Hello, today I'm joined by Chief Rueben from the Tsleil-Waututh, from the First Nations Coast Salish tribe. Thank you for coming, and I am wondering, how did you become chief?
Well, there's two distinct things that I'm a part of. I am Coast Salish, and I do follow my Coast Salish traditions, but I was also adopted into a Lakota family. And Chief Leonard Crodog from Rosebud, South Dakota. I've been doing ceremony with him for about 10 years, and he asked me to be one of his chiefs. I want to represent his family in ceremony. So 10 years of ceremony, he looked at how I was growing spiritually. When he found that I could be a leader in that ceremony, he asked me to be chief. He made me chief.
Who chooses the chief? Well, elders, right?
Well, specifically, in a way, Spirit does. So our ancestors, he would put out a prayer and ask for guidance, and then he with that prayer he would make that decision. So but also when I became chief, there was already 10 other chiefs. We have a ceremony of about 500 people. And there was 10 other chiefs, and they were my senior elders, and they were included in that decision as well.
Please explain the difference, the different type of chiefs.
There's elected chiefs, or just like how you may elect a mayor. The community and the reservation, they come together and they vote on who should be chief. And actually, we had nominations last night. I was nominated for chief, so you could get voted in. And then there's hereditary chiefs. That's so the oldest son of a chief family will be the chief. So it's passed down generation to generation. And then there's chiefs like me, which are spiritual chiefs. Those are 3 different chiefs that I know of.
Do you go through special ceremonies to become a chief, or in general?
Well, life is a ceremony. That's the way we're taught. When we do ceremony, it isn't a ceremony that we do for 1 or 2 hours a week. It's what we like to say is it's a way of life. So ceremonies are the fundamentals of humanity. We look at the fundamentals of humanity of any religion or any spiritual belief. It's love, honor, respect, dignity, pride, compassion, understanding, truth. And when you walk that way and you carry yourself that way, the elders watch, and they see how you conduct yourself in your life and in ceremony. And when they see that you're ready, they come to that decision. So life is a ceremony.
Do you have a spirit animal or a guide?
Everybody does. I think we have our own spirit, which is like, we have a conscience, an aura, a sixth sense, intuition. All those things mean spirit to me, and our spirit is always with us. Then we have ancestors. So your grandparents, your great grandparents, and everybody in your bloodline that passed away are your ancestors, angels. And then you have Creator, who's like God, or what you believe in is God. And then what you have, what helps to dictate a person's personality is the spirit animal. So you look at a characteristic of a wolf, or that's what clan we are, as a wolf clan. They're a community animal. They hunt and they live and they sleep and together, eat together, do everything together. And then there's a matriarch and a patriarch, the leaders, and there's even a mega wolf that's on the outskirts. So you look at the characteristic of a wolf and how it applies to you will dictate a little bit about what your personality is like. And we're all individuals. We shouldn't be the same. Society sort of teaches us to be the same. They put down people who are different, or dress different, or look different, or act different, and that's wrong. What we do in our culture is we celebrate everybody's differences, because everybody has a gift, and the animal helps to bring out that gift. So no matter who you are around the world, you have an individual spirit that separates you from everybody else, and because you're different, that's good.
What was the population of Indigenous people before contact?
At contact, The lowest estimation that I heard of indigenous people in North America is 50 million. The highest estimation I heard is about 200 million indigenous people in North America. I even heard that at one point there's 120 million buffalo that would migrate from Texas all the way to Alberta. So it was our population was very high through epidemics of smallpox and chickenpox and that wiped out probably about in the Coast Salish territory about 70% of the indigenous people. And then what happened after that was the residential schools and the government that the battles that happened after that. Our population went down to about less than 1% over 500 years.
Wow.
So in 1942 our people were still dying off, but now we're one of the fastest growing populations in Canada.
Are there still shamans?
There are spiritual leaders. We don't say shaman. Like I said, everybody has a gift, and we don't put anybody in front of anybody else, you know. But there are people who might say that I might be a shaman, but I'm just a regular person. Mm-hmm. I may help people spiritually, but I don't give myself a title. Besides chief, which is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. But there are spiritual leaders. There are people that could help people, and just like a priest or a rabbi, we do have spiritual leaders that help people in communities.
Who did you look up to?
30 elders that I work with, and I see at least once a year. And of course then there's my own family, my mom and my uncles and my aunties have been really inspirational to me in my path. But of course my grandpa, he was Chief Dan George. You know, he was famous, and he was an actor, first actor, Native American that was nominated for Academy Award. He won a Grammy, or 2 Grammys, and he was a very successful poet and writer and orator and speaker. But to me, he was a grandpa. He's just grandpa, and he's very, very spiritual and very loving and very caring and very humble. Despite all that fame, he never changed who he was. You know, and I think that's a gift. No matter whose company he was in, he never changed. He did movies with Clint Eastwood and Dustin Hoffman. He had dinners with presidents and prime ministers and the Queen, and he never ever changed who he was. And I think that's important, to be humble, and that's probably the most important thing that I learned from him. So that's who I looked up to.
Who teaches your tradition, culture, and spirituality?
So that's a good question, because we can learn from everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, we do have elders who guide us. We do have cultural and spiritual leaders that run ceremonies. Mm-hmm. But when it comes right down to it, to come into a ceremony, we should learn from everybody.
What is your vision for your people in Canada?
I think the vision's following our teachings of what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. You look at our culture, and I said the fundamentals of humanity are love, honor, respect, dignity, pride, compassion, understanding, truth. We incorporate those ideas into everything that I've done. You know, we were standing up to the Alberta tar sands, and that's crazy to think that the top 5 oil companies in North America make $176,000 a minute. Mm-hmm. And we're a small little nation, and we're stopping that. But it's our core values that tell us that we have to stop that. And now in economic development, I think the same way. As we incorporated our core values into the work that I do as Vice President of Business Sales for a technology company. But we take those resources and we apply them to our communities. To Tsleil-Waututh Nation, as the Director of Community Development a couple of years ago, I made the same amount of money as the Director of Economic Development. He'd bring in millions of dollars to our community, which is for us is a lot of money, because you know we're not a wealthy nation. But he didn't make more money than I did. Where you look at Canada and the United States, it's 1% of people own 90% of the world's wealth. That's in the world, and we're not like that in our community. We look after our community, and when we have economic development success, we put that money back into education. We put that money back into healing. We put the money into language, into culture, into even spirituality. And we even put it back into environment. 10 years ago, one of the local rivers in North Vancouver, it's called the Indian Arm River, it only had 3,000 salmon swimming up there. Because to Tsleil-Waututh Nation, in our efforts to clean up that river, our salmon are up, this last year, we're up to 100,000 because of our efforts. And you look at communities and how it's set up in Canada, you don't see these multi-millionaire corporations that are making $176,000 a year putting money back into the community. They're not. They're putting money back in their pockets. But not only that, what's screwy is the Canadian government subsidizes those companies and gives them $1.6 billion in subsidies to help them. And they give less money to green energy. So we looked at that as a community and they said, what should we do? So we created a wind turbine company. We're the second best wind turbine company in Canada. With the economic development success, we're number one, we're taking care of our environment. Even before we created this company, but now we're talking our talk. We made a green energy initiative to have all of our buildings in Tsleil-Waututh Nation run by green energy. We started with our daycare. 90% of our power that is used is from the sunlight. It's a solar panel. And we want our whole admin buildings to be like that, all of our houses to be like that. And so our vision for that, of being a healthy community, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, environmentally, those things are important. We want clean water. We want to still continue to eat out of the water. And we want clean lands. Even the elk. It's been a long time, since over 125 years since elk were in our traditional territory in North Vancouver. We went and got 27 elk and we put them in our traditional territory. Now there's close to 300. So we do initiatives like this because it's important. It's important that we're part of the wildlife and the water and the lands and things that we love. We also need to take care of that as well as we take care of one another. And it doesn't go to a 1%. We share that wealth with everybody, because when we make initiatives to bring the salmon population up, it's not just for Tsleil-Waututh people. It's for all people. We don't tag the salmon and let it go to the Pacific and tell them to put it back in the water because it's a Tsleil-Waututh salmon. Our efforts are for everybody. Just like stopping Kinder Morgan and these oil companies that are causing this heavy destruction. They're killing people. They're killing people. They're killing the land. They're killing the water. They're killing the fish. They're killing the elk and the moose and the people. They're dying because of this craziness. And we as a nation stood up and said, we can't have that in our territory. We can't have Kinder Morgan Oil Company come and ruin our lands and ruin our waters and potentially could kill us too. So these things are important. That's our vision, not only for our nation, for Canada, but the world. Because Canada is the #1 contributor of harmful chemicals in our atmosphere more than any other country. Which is crazy because the state of California has more people in that state than all of Canada. But we're the worst polluter. And we're aiming to change it. And when we change that, we change the world. And it looks like we're gonna win.
I would like to thank you, Chief George, for joining us again. Is there anything that you'd like to end off with?
Sure. I had the pleasure to working with your friend's father, Tiger's father, Phil Lane. We traveled the world, and we have done ceremonies with multiple different spiritual leaders and just people generally all over the world, from Germany to Italy to Rio, Brazil to Panama and Mexico, all throughout the United States. And not only that did we go to those places, but people came to us. And what's important about what you're doing, what I feel, is when we explore each other's culture, we find there's more similarities than differences. When I talk about the teachings of humanity, of love and honor and respect and pride and dignity, those things are about how to be a good human being. And every religious belief has those same teachings. And we found that because we've done prayers with spiritual leaders in the jungle. We went on safaris way deep in the jungle, and we had talks with these different tribal people, and we were saying the same things. And I think what people are missing is that connection to themselves as a human being. And I think it's important to be in contact with that. I think we in the society here in North America, we get disconnected from what it is to be a true human being, to really care. Because if we really did care, we would see the things that are wrong with our world and where it's going today. Here in North America, we're a little bit spoiled because we don't see the global changes that are happening with global warming affecting us here right now today. The places that we've been in Germany and Italy and Brazil, there's half the groceries on the shelves. So things are going to start to change. And I think it's up to you guys. I think how young you are and how connected you can be, not only to each other, but around the world. Right now, maybe us adults have ruined your future. And I think you guys need to stand up. I think you need to do something. But if you explore who you are as a human being with those fundamentals and be okay to stand up for who you are, doesn't matter if you're different or if you look different, just be proud of who you are. And then when you're proud of who you are, you're going to want to make better choices. Google Alberta tar sands. Google Keystone pipeline. Google Kinder Morgan pipeline. That's the one that we're stopping. And look at the news stories that come with that and how many spills happen. There's 2.6 spills a day in the United States alone. 2.6, and those things we can't stand for because you need a future. What I want for you and all your friends is to enjoy the waters like I have, to enjoy the land like I have. And at the rate where we're going, you won't be able to. So we need you guys to stand up. We need you guys to be leaders. And like I said, in our cultural circles, we will listen to you. We will have to.
Go. This is Chief Rueben George.
This is Zach Spicer. Peace.
Cut. Beautiful. That was great.